Look around you. Observe the men of your generation. Say how they walk the streets, burdened by a weariness they can't name, with vacant stares, and a vitality that seems to have been leached from their veins. Now answer me with brutal honesty. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and saw a warrior staring back? When was the last time you felt that primal force coursing through your veins, that energy that makes mountains tremble before your presence? The uncomfortable truth is that we live in a society that has turned the most powerful force in the universe, sexual energy, into a cheap escape valve, a drug that keeps us doped and submissive. While you squander your life force on fleeting moments of pleasure, there's an ancient wisdom waiting to be rediscovered, a secret that history's great masters knew and that Napoleon Hill codified in his deepest teachings: sexual transmutation. But before we delve into this alchemic journey, let me confront you with a reality the adult entertainment industry doesn't want you to know. Every time you compulsively ejaculate, you're literally aging your cells, draining your life force, and surrendering your personal power to impulses that should serve you, not master you. Modern science is discovering what Chinese Taoists knew millennia ago. Semen isn't just a reproductive fluid. It's the elixir of youth coursing through your veins, the raw material of creation that can both build empires and destroy dreams. We live in an age of exhausted men. Walk the streets of any major city, and you'll see an entire generation of warriors turned into ghosts, of lions transformed into domesticated lambs. They have everything: technology, comfort, infinite access to stimulation. But they've lost the one thing that truly matters: their life force. They're addicted to a drug they don't recognize as a drug, trapped in a cycle that keeps them weak, dependent, and eternally unsatisfied. What you don't realize is that each compulsive ejaculation is a mini-death. Literally, studies show that the act of ejaculation triggers a hormonal cascade that can take weeks to fully rebalance. Your testosterone levels plummet, your dopamine depletes, your nervous system enters recovery mode. You're not just relieving tension, you're draining the wellspring of your vitality, surrendering to the void, the energy that should be building your reality. But there's another path, a path the ancients knew, that great achievers practiced in secret, that Napoleon Hill observed in the most successful men of his time, is the path of transmutation, the alchemic art of transforming raw sexual impulse into creative force, personal magnetism, and achieving power. Imagine for a moment that within you resides a nuclear reactor. That energy you feel, that impulse that overwhelms you, isn't a weakness to be satisfied. It's the fuel of creation waiting to be channeled. When you learn to retain and transmute this energy, something extraordinary happens. You're not just saving semen, you're accumulating life force, concentrating power, refining your essence until it becomes so potent that your very presence begins to alter the reality around you. Seminal retention isn't about repression. It's about conscious redirection. It's the difference between being a slave to desire and being the master who uses desire as fuel for greater achievements. When you stop squandering your life force on moments of instant gratification, that energy doesn't simply vanish, it transforms. Physiologically, something profound happens in your body. Your testosterone levels don't just stabilize, they optimize. Studies show that after 7 days of abstinence, testosterone levels can increase by as much as 45%. But that's just the beginning. Your skin becomes more luminous, your eyes more penetrating, your voice deeper and more resonant. There's a reason why men who practice seminal retention develop that characteristic glow, that magnetic presence that attracts opportunities and people. But what truly happens transcends the merely physical. The energy you retain transmutes into mental clarity. Your ability to focus intensifies dramatically. That mental fog you didn't even know existed begins to dissipate. Decisions that once seemed impossible become obvious. Your intuition sharpens like a blade. You begin to perceive opportunities that were always there, but that your scattered mind couldn't grasp. Napoleon Hill observed that all the great men he studied had one thing in common. They had learned to transmute their sexual energy into achieving power, not by accident, by conscious design. They understood that the same force that creates life can also create wealth, influence, and legacy. Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, Andrew Carnegie, they all practiced, consciously or unconsciously, some form of sexual transmutation. The secret isn't in the denial of impulse, but in its elevation. When you feel the fire of desire burning in your veins, instead of extinguishing it with immediate gratification, you fuel it with purpose. You direct that energy toward your projects, your dreams, your ambitions. What was once dispersion becomes concentration. What was once weakness becomes strength. Physically, you begin to notice profound changes. Your posture straightens naturally, not through conscious effort, but because the life force that once leaked now fills your frame. Your movements become more decisive, your voice more commanding. There's a reason why natural leaders often possess this magnetic quality. They've learned to conserve and direct their life force. But perhaps the most remarkable thing is what happens to your face. Science is discovering that frequent ejaculation accelerates facial aging through multiple mechanisms. The loss of zinc, essential for collagen synthesis. The hormonal dysregulation that affects cell regeneration. The oxidative stress that marks your skin with the signs of inner exhaustion. When you practice semen retention, you are literally preserving your youth at a cellular level. Your eyes are especially revealing. Look at men addicted to pornography and masturbation. You'll see dull, lifeless eyes, like fogged windows of an abandoned house. Now observe men who practice conscious retention. Their eyes shine with an intensity that's impossible to fake. It's the light of unwasted life force, the luminosity of energy that has been refined instead of dissipated. But let's go beyond the physical, because the true transformation happens in more subtle dimensions. When you retain your vital essence, you're accumulating not just energy, but presence. That indefinable quality that makes people turn when you enter a room. That magnetism that attracts opportunities, partnerships, resources. This isn't quackery. It's physics applied to human development. Sexual energy is the primordial creative force of the universe. It's what moves planets in their orbits, makes flowers bloom, and drives all forms of creation. When you learn to conserve and consciously direct it, you become a conscious co-creator of your reality. Your projects gain an inexplicable force. Your ideas manifest with a speed that once seemed impossible. This isn't cheap mysticism. It's applied spiritual technology. Taoists developed sophisticated practices for cultivating and circulating sexual energy. Tantric traditions created entire systems to transform impulse into enlightenment. European alchemists encoded these teachings in symbols that few could decipher. They all knew the same fundamental secret: sexual energy is the key to the total transformation of the being. What if I told you that you have access to a source of energy more powerful than any drug, more effective than any supplement, more transformative than any therapy? What if I revealed that this source is within you right now, waiting only to be recognized and consciously directed? Semen retention is the gateway to this realesino. But beware, this isn't a path for the faint of heart. When you stop using ejaculation as an emotional escape valve, you're forced to confront everything you've been avoiding. All the insecurities, fears, unresolved traumas you were masking with compulsive gratification come to the surface, demanding resolution. That's why many give up in the first few weeks. They can't handle the intensity of encountering themselves without anesthesia. But for those who persevere, who cross the dark valley of self-confrontation, an alchemical transformation awaits. The retained sexual energy doesn't remain in the genital region, it ascends. It circulates through your nervous system like conscious electricity. It fuels your brain with a vitality that no external substance can provide. Neurologically, fascinating changes begin to occur. Your dopamine receptors, overstimulated and desensitized by the pornography masturbation cycle, begin to recover. Simple pleasures, an interesting conversation, a sunset, the taste of a meal, regain their natural intensity. You no longer need ever-increasing doses of stimulation to feel alive. Your ability to concentrate multiplies exponentially. Projects that once seemed impossible to complete become not only feasible but enjoyable. You develop that rare quality in the modern world, the ability to maintain deep focus for extended periods. In an age of fragmented attention, this becomes a competitive superpower. And then something even deeper emerges. You begin to awaken your natural magnetic nature. People are naturally drawn to your presence. Conversations flow with unexpected ease. Opportunities begin to appear as if the universe is conspiring in your favor. This isn't coincidence. It's the direct result of your stopping the leakage of your life force and beginning to consciously accumulate it. What science is discovering is that semen is much more than a reproductive fluid. It's an extraordinarily nutrient-rich substance: zinc, selenium, fructose, citric acid, enzymes, hormones. Each ejaculation represents a significant loss of these essential elements. When you conserve them through retention, your body reabsorbs and utilizes them for regeneration and optimization. But there's an even deeper dimension to this practice that modern science is only beginning to understand. Ancient tantric texts speak of hojas, the refined essence of vital energy that accumulates through the conscious practice of retention. They describe men who had cultivated their hojas as possessing an inner luminosity, a presence that transcended the merely physical. When you embark on this journey of conscious transmutation, you're not just improving your physical appearance, you're literally reconstituting your energy at a quantum level. Every cell in your body begins to vibrate at a higher frequency. Your presence becomes denser, more real, more impactful. This is where we need to pause and acknowledge something important. If you're resonating with these words, if something inside you is awakening to these possibilities, invite you to become part of a community of men who are committed to this transformation. Subscribe to this channel now and hit the notification bell, because what I share here isn't just theory, it's tested practices, deep insights, and a journey of awakening that can literally redefine who you are, and what's possible in your life. This is a community for modern warriors who have chosen the path of conscious transmutation instead of unconscious mediocrity. Join us. Let's delve deeper into this inner alchemy. What truly happens when you stop wasting your life force is a complete reorganization of your priorities and capabilities. That constant restlessness you may not have even realized you had begins to transform into a powerful serenity. You no longer need to constantly seek something outside yourself to feel complete. This transformation is immediately reflected in your physical appearance. Your skin develops a natural glow that no cosmetic can replicate. Your eyes gain a depth and intensity that make people stop and stare. Your voice becomes naturally more resonant and commanding. Your movements acquire a fluid and decisive quality that denotes inner strength. But perhaps most noticeable is the transformation of your energetic presence. You develop that indefinable quality the French call je ne sais quoi, a magnetic attractiveness that transcends mere physical appearance. It's the unwashed life force manifesting as natural charisma, as radiant personal power. Seminal retention activates what Taoists call the microcosmic orbit, a process where retained sexual energy is refined and circulated through the higher energy centers. In modern terms, this translates to hormonal optimization, improved neurological function, and a strengthened immune system. You're not just saving energy, you're refining and potentiating it. From a longevity perspective, seminal retention represents one of the most powerful anti-aging interventions available. Studies suggest that frequent ejaculation accelerates telomere shortening, the chromosomal structures associated with cellular aging. When you practice conscious retention, you are literally slowing down your biological clock. Your muscles respond better to exercise. Your post-workout recovery accelerates. Your natural energy remains stable throughout the day without the need for stimulants. You wake up naturally invigorated, without that feeling of exhaustion that characterizes men who live in a cycle of constant depletion. Mentally, the transformations are equally impressive. Your visualization ability intensifies dramatically. You can hold mental images with a clarity and stability that were previously impossible. This translates directly into greater planning ability, better decision-making, and an enhanced ability to manifest your goals into reality. Creativity explodes in unexpected directions. Solutions to long-standing problems emerge spontaneously. You begin to perceive connections and opportunities that were always present but that your scattered mind couldn't grasp. The energy that was previously wasted on compulsive gratification now fuels creative and fulfilling processes. Socially, you become more present in interactions. Your listening ability deepens. Your responses become more insightful and impactful. People begin to seek your opinion and guidance natural. You develop that quality of leadership that can't be taught in books. It emerges from consciously preserved and directed life force. Financially, the results are often surprising. Intensified focus translates into greater productivity. Your stable energy allows you to work on projects for longer periods without fatigue. Your magnetic presence attracts business opportunities and partnerships. Sexual transmutation is literally the alchemy of transforming vital energy into material abundance. But make no mistake, this is not a linear journey. There will be moments of intense internal pressure, when the accumulated energy will seem to want to explode in destructive directions. It is in these moments that the true alchemy happens. Instead of giving in to the pressure, you learn to consciously channel it towards constructive goals. Retained sexual energy doesn't remain stagnant. It transmutes. It transforms into personal magnetism, creative force, and fulfilling power. The great artists, inventors, and leaders of history intuitively understood this process. They used their sexual energy as fuel for achievements that transcended momentary gratification. Leonardo da Vinci remained celibate for most of his life, channeling his sexual energy into his artistic creations and inventions. Nikola Tesla practiced rigorous abstinence, directing his life force towards his revolutionary discoveries. Steve Jobs incorporated energy cultivation practices into his routine, using sexual discipline as part of his innovation strategy. These men understood something fundamental. Sexual energy is creative energy in its purest form. When you learn to conserve and consciously direct it, you gain access to a source of creative power that can literally redefine your reality. The practice of seminal retention also awakens your natural intuitive ability. That inner voice that was silenced by the constant noise of compulsive gratification begins to emerge with crystalline clarity. You develop an almost supernatural ability to read people and situations. Your perception sharpens to the point where you can anticipate events and trends before they become obvious to others. This is not fantasy, it's the natural result of a nervous system no longer exhausted by the constant dispersal of vital energy. When your energy stops leaking, it accumulates and refines, allowing subtle capabilities that have always been present to finally manifest. Your dreams become more vivid and meaningful. Your ability to find solutions during sleep intensifies. You frequently wake up with insights and ideas that seem to come from a deeper source than your usual conscious thought. Retained sexual energy fuels not only your conscious processes, but also activates deeper dimensions of your intelligence. Physically, the transformation continues to deepen. Your voice doesn't just become deeper, it develops a resonant quality that makes people stop to listen. Your gestures acquire an economy and precision that denote a controlled strength. Your posture becomes naturally more erect and commanding, not through conscious effort, but as a natural expression of preserved life force. Your skin doesn't just become clearer, it develops that inner luminosity that characterizes truly vital people. Your eyes don't just shine brighter, they gain a depth that suggests reserves of unwasted power. Your smile doesn't just become more frequent, it carries a magnetic quality that draws people into your orbit. And then, a profound realization dawns. You've spent your entire life operating at a fraction of your true potential. All that energy wasted on fleeting pleasures could have been channeled into building the extraordinary life you always dreamed of but never believed possible. But this realization doesn't come with regret. It comes with a burning determination to reclaim lost time. The energy conserved through retention doesn't just revitalize your body. It reignites your ambition, rekindles your boldest dreams, restores your faith in your own capabilities. You start setting goals that once seemed impossible, not out of naive optimism, but because you now possess the vital energy to sustain them. Projects you once abandoned at the first hurdle are now pursued with a persistence that surprises even yourself. Transmuted sexual energy becomes fuel for unwavering determination. Your interpersonal relationships transform completely. You no longer need external validation because you possess an inner wellspring of satisfaction. You no longer need to win over people because your magnetic presence naturally attracts them. You no longer need to prove your worth because your preserved vital energy makes it self-evident. In intimacy, an extraordinary transformation occurs. Instead of being a passive consumer of pleasure, you become an active co-creator of transcendent experiences. Your capacity for presence intensifies dramatically. Your sensitivity to subtle energetic rhythms sharpens. You discover dimensions of intimacy that compulsive pleasure could never reveal. Seminal retention doesn't mean permanent celibacy. It means conscious choice. It means using your sexual energy as a creative force instead of an escape valve. It means experiencing intimacy as sacred communion instead of mechanical discharge. It means transforming animalistic impulse into divine expression. As the months pass, you realize your biological age hasn't just stopped advancing, it's begun to regress. Your energy levels rival those of men a decade younger. Your appearance reflects a vitality that makes people ask what your secret is. Your presence carries a timeless quality that transcends conventional chronological markers. And then you understand the deeper truth. Seminal retention isn't just a health or optimization practice, it's an act of conscious rebellion against a culture that profits from your weakness. Every time you choose transmutation over dissipation, you're declaring your independence from a system designed to keep you dependent and depleted. You become a threat to mediocrity. Your transformation exposes the sham of normalizing male weakness. Your vital energy awakens others to possibilities they didn't even know existed. You become a catalyst for awakening in your community. And so, gradually, you realize you've become who you were always meant to be, a man who masters his inner forces instead of being mastered by them. A warrior who uses discipline as a weapon against mediocrity. An alchemist who transforms base impulses into extraordinary achievements. A magician who has discovered the secret of conscious transmutation. Your journey of seminal retention reveals itself as far more than a health practice. It's a path of initiation into your essential nature. It's the awakening of the sleeping warrior, the latent creator, the innate leader who always resided within you, waiting only for the right key to be released. The key was simply all along. Stop leaking your life force into fleeting gratifications and start consciously directing it towards building the reality you truly desire. Sexual energy is the most powerful force at your disposal. Use it wisely and it will transform not only your appearance, but the entire trajectory of your existence. This is the invitation I extend to you. Stop wasting the force that could make you extraordinary. Begin your journey of conscious transmutation today. Discover the power that has always existed within you, waiting only for your recognition and conscious direction. The warrior you are capable of becoming awaits your decision.